'Twas the blog before New Year's, and yeah, don't worry, I'm not doing that for another year. But hello again to you all, one and all, in every form you want to be. My name is Sam, and I welcome you to the newest episode of We're My Newsroom, and to the last edition of this year, where of course, for this week, we're once again bringing you the selection of new releases, trailers, and news stories from the last week and over this festive period before we head into the new year. And I go all emotional and probably break down in tears for support of the last year. But for now, we will not dwell on this for the moment, and we'll dive into the focus of all things media that we do have for this week.
I'm a snake.
So the first of the new releases in the focus of a new adaptation of what I like to see as the book talk genre has become a thing now, where we start seeing novels and stories that have got a bit of appeal that a lot of people lose their minds over in writing and stuff like that, but then they're forgetting about quickly as a new book comes along. They don't really stand out, or you read them and you don't see the major appeal. Children as part of a series of novels, or ends up becoming a lawsuit of a different film adaptation. But in this case, we're focusing on the deals of a simple job turning a little more deadly, with everyone having secrets, including the place you find yourself working in. This is the release of the new film adaptation of the acclaimed novel of The Housemaid. And the film follows Millie, played by Sydney Sweeney, who's looking to get a bit of a fresh start, takes up a job becoming a live-in housemaid for a wealthy couple that's played by Samantha Seyfried and Brandon Skellner, who may be harboring some sinister secrets. Now, reception's adaptation seems to be modestly received with praise in its cast performances, particularly with Seyfried's performance, production and camera work, though the plot and tone feel a bit too cliche or has been seen too many times to really kind of engage heavily with the audiences. But if you want to check it out for yourself and learn the secrets yourself, you can catch the new film out now in cinemas. But if the likes of a sense of a saucy thriller is not your interest and you prefer something in a bit more of a comedic side, then you may not like Buns unless you got snakes on. While you have a bit more of a chance with this new one, as you get a little more meta and a little more in the grams of getting crazy, as with the release of the somewhat new remake of the classic of Anaconda. And the film follows Doug, played by Jack Black, and Griff, played by Paul Rudd. Two men going through the stages of midlife crisis decide to head into the Amazon rainforest to remake their favorite film from their youth of Anaconda. But everything falls apart when a real giant snake shows up, turning the comically chaotic set into a deadly situation. The movie they are dying to make might end up killing them instead. The reception initially was a bit more undecisive, but has moved itself into the realm of the mixed outcome. As well, the performances and some of the humor have been praised. The film is hit with the critiques of feeling that they deserve better in the comedy side. The tropes, the meta content is a bit more hoping for more Tropic Thunder than sort of where this outcome is, and it's not really that present. And some of the visuals feel a little bit messy, but it seems the film is more of an entertaining romp for audiences in general. If you want to check it out for yourself, then it's available now to check out in cinemas. Our last release this week, there was one other film, but I'm moving that to next week because the official release is the first. It's taking us back to the realm of turning everything upside down, as we return back once more with a second volume to the final season of Stranger Things. Now the volume picks up the major cliffhanger reveal and sees the group of Hawkins recuperate to form a new plan, rescue the group that is stuck in the upside down, and find a way to come together, take down Vecna, and save the world before the powerful entity unleashed his new plan to turn the world into his twisted image. Now reception to this second volume seems to be a bit more of a mixed outcome compared to volume 1, where performances and setting are still well liked, though a lot of divide has been of the moments feeling a little messy and feel all over the place, and feels the sense of stakes in the series are very lacking. Now personally, I started to watch the 3 episodes of this volume, and while there's a small bit I felt improved on my already mixed opinions on volume 1, it's still a whole mess of a season. I'm hoping the actual volume may fix some of those issues, but I'm kind of very skeptical. Plus there's also a bit of rumor going around that apparently 2 hours of volume 2 has been cut out by Netflix, but we don't fucking know. It's apparently rumors, apparently it's not true. I have no idea anymore, and I might make that video concept I was thinking about for the last few weeks. But if you want to check them out for yourself and make your own judgment, you can watch these first 2 volumes now on Netflix, with the finale releasing on New Year's Eve/New Year's Day. With all that regards, that's all the new releases for this week and for this year.
Remember, when in doubt, pinky out.
Now on to trailers, and the first is seen as one of the big blockbuster epics of the new year, and one's from an acclaimed filmmaker that is set to take on one of the most acclaimed stories of all time. And given its grand scale outcome to it all, earlier this week, we received finally the official first trailer of Nolan's new film of The Odyssey. Now based on the book and stories of Homer, the film will tell the tale of Odysseus, played by Matt Damon, the legendary Greek king of Ithaca, on his long and perilous journey home following the Trojan War, chronicling his encounters with the mythical creatures such as Cyclops, Polyphemus, Sirens, and the witch goddess Circe, while attempting to reunite with his wife Penelope. So in this case, it was only announced at Christmas last year this project was coming from Nolan, and it really seemed like if there's anyone that can make this option work, it would be him, as you see the scope and scale of it all and make it a grand spectacle of cinema. And from the looks of this trailer, it seems like there is a big sense of this grand scale, and it just has that working. And the ideals of some of these creatures, and they're supposed to be all done practically, which is quite impressive. Now, I've seen some discourse online about this, but not much in the film, but rather the armor worn by Agamon, or Benny Safdie, as people see as inaccurate and looks too much like an early stage of like Batsuit in the ancient times. But I'm sure you're going to have some slight creative liberties with this film, but I guess we'll see. But overall, very excited to check this one out, and I'll be seeing how this film will be unleashed, and the journey home will begin with a release in the cinemas on the 17th of July. Our second trailer for the week is one that we see making a bit of a presence these next few weeks in this section. It's time for the countdown to begin. The clock is ticking, and soon enough, the sense of doom will arrive. As also being first dropped in front of the Pocahontas in Space film, we have received the first of the 4 planned teasers for the next big tentpole of the MCU next Christmas with Avengers Doomsday. The film was set 14 months after the events of Thunderbolts and follow on from Endgame. It will consist of different factions, including the Avengers led by Sam Wilson's Cap, the Wakandans, the recently arrived Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, and the X-Men, all teaming up to take on a new potential powerful foe in the threat of Doctor Doom, who looks a little close to a familiar face from the past. So as to say, the development of these 2 big team-ups has been a bit of a roller coaster, from name changes of villains and stories, and to many that see the sagas being all over the place and focus about the multiverse. It could be a sense of worry, and this also comes in the form of the surprise reveal with the return of Steve Rogers that this teaser focuses on. Now, many are surprised by this reveal, and in all cases I've known this was happening since about last Christmas due to some news reports confirming it, as well as alongside Peggy Carter. Now, how they will tackle this return, if this will mess up the whole symbolism for Sam Wilson as Cap, is a question I need to know, but we'll find out. Now, like case, we'll be back with more of these in the next few weeks, as there's ones focusing on different characters, the next one being the God of Thunder, and then one that's mostly focused on the mutants itself or the villain. But I guess we will see, as I'm holding out hope that this is going to be a solid outcome and appeal with some of the projects from the recent saga that I have enjoyed a bit. But I guess we'll see in due time, with the clock striking Doomsday about a year's time on December 18th. For the third trailer, maybe slightly pushing my trailer rule, but I see as giving it a fair focus, and from the orders of this group, it makes the complete sense to talk on it, as the story of finding out whatever happened to one Thomas Shelby is about to be revealed, as we have the release of the first teaser for the film based on Peaky Blinders with the Immortal Man. Now, taking place around 7 years after the events of the original series, it sees Tommy Shelby driven back from his self-imposed exile to face his most destructive reckoning yet. With the future of his family and country at stake, Tommy must face his own demons and choose whether to confront his legacy or burn to the ground. So it's a case that I have not watched all this series to give a full depth focused opinion on this, but I will give it in due time, similar to how I was with Breaking Bad, which I did eventually watch. But it's a case I can see this as seeing anything with the series, the one that really has a lot of appeal and the creators know what they are doing. And from the small teaser, it looks like it could have some potential in the long run, and maybe give this a look in due time, and it's not long away from release either, as we'll have a planned limited cinema release from the 6th of March before dropping onto Netflix from the 20th of the same month. The last of the trailers for this week is in the focus a bit more of a classy establishment, one that has some grace, elegance, and that a lot of with some steamy hot romance, or in this case, fucking, as it's the time to return to the fancy region once again, as we receive the trailer for the 4th season of the popular Netflix series of Bridgerton. Now, the series will focus on Benedict Bridgerton's Cinderella love story with Sophie Beck, a resourceful maid that loosely inspired by an offer of a gentleman, which includes masquerade balls, class divides, and conflict between Benedict's fantasy of the Lady in Silver and his reality with Sophie, who faces challenges from her cruel stepmother of Lady Aminata Gunn, promising fairy tale romance and a dose of gritty reality. It's a case of this series, which I have not watched much of this one either, but I get the appeal and appreciation of this class and romance that I'm sure some will appeal to it, and overall I can see it working on being more the usual Cinderella love story approach than it may have its appeal in general. I'm sure it'd be well worth a look into in the series. And to be fair, this new season is not too far away from release either, as the new season will be releasing once again like the previous 2 seasons in 2 parts, with Volume 1 dropping on January 29th and Volume 2 dropping a month later on February 26th. In that regards now, that's all the trailers that we have for this weekend, for probably this year as well.
I can smell you.
Now, for the focus of the one story for this week is one in the realm of some of the base of the usual array of the hodgepodge of some small stories in focus on likes of the release date changes and release formats, new names attached to projects, and some updates or things that have happened in the last few days. So we'll delve into what we have and possibly can give a bit of the discussion of what we got. So we start the focus with the most elements of the release dates, as there's a most of the week's focus. And the first is a batch of 3 projects that were announced to have gotten a mixed round of some release date changes coming to us from the company of Disney and their subsidiaries, as it was announced back on Monday that the sequel to Ready or Not, Here I Come, has gotten moved up in release by about 2 weeks, where instead of opening now on April 10th, it'll now release on the 27th of March. Makes it seems the studio has some good faith in this follow-up, and I will say will depend on, the early reactions or early test screenings are solid, which is similar to how the third 20 years later sequel reception was announced to be made, with the reception of Bone Temple from early social reactions, but makes the opinion of the critical before jumping on that aspect of things. Now, the new date for this project, it does see the planned release for another project on that day get delayed to a new slot, and that is with the film of Dog Stars, which is a new project from acclaimed director Ridley Scott, the film now being bowing into cinemas from the 28th of August. Not much about this project has been given as of yet, but it does have a solid cast from Jacob Elordi, Margaret Qualley, Josh Brolin, and Benedict Wong, and seems to be filmed set in a bit of a post-apocalyptic world, which may be an interesting approach to see what comes of this project in due time, but I guess we shall see. And the last of the films getting a release change is coming to us from the animation sector, director. And this is with Pixar. It was announced that their next film at Toy Story 5 of Gato will be moving up by around 3 months to March 5th, 2027 from the initial June 18th release. This may be the case of the film having some unique animation style that has a bit more fast-tracked and going much more better than expected, but I feel this may also want to give it a bit more of a chance in a packed month of animation, as that film will be given a free weekend before facing against the finale of the Spider-Verse trilogy and the 5th film of Shrek a week after that. So I can see the angle they went with on that. Now, all these dates are not bad. I see them as reasonable in their placements, with the latter two seeing another possible delay in some form, but it may stick to where they are. But I'll be interested to see what comes to them and give them a look into when they release in due time, of course. In any case, for one more delay, we have a set date for. It looks like our License to Kill may be taking a little more longer to get verified and processed out to us, as was announced earlier this week that the new game of 007 First Light has been delayed from its initial March 26th release date and now be dropping 2 months later on May 26th or 27th instead, taking the initial spot now of what GTA 6 was supposed to release on next year. And this personally I'm fine with on its slight delay, as this company's turnout has been solid late, albeit if you skip the involvement of their project of one of the worst reviewed games of this year. From what I've seen so far of this game, it does look very entertaining. I'll be well worth a look into this title very soon. I'll be giving the License to Kill a go when it comes out in the early summer now. The last of dates is one of a shake-up, and the releasing is now in the realm of the unclear, as was announced this week that the initially planned animated film based on the popular Avatar The Last Airbender series will now no longer release into cinemas in October of 2026, and will be releasing straight onto Paramount Plus instead sometime in the fall. This I feel is kind of really a shame, as them doing this is showing a bit of a mess going on the studio, and I feel like this series is well worth a return to the beloved franchise and give it a proper chance onto the big screen, like more than the disaster that was The Last Airbender in 2010. Maybe the case the series is crashing out because W rejected their $108 billion deal to purchase the rights of the studio, but I don't know. I do feel there is a chance this could still release into cinemas if there's enough pushback in aspect, or just maybe just with the US release, but it's kind of hard to say as of now on what the situation with this new film project will release. Now, at the moment, nothing has been provided, and if anything new pops up, I should provide that, of course, in a later episode in that aspect. So this focus on this director or new attachment to a project hurts me, so I do wonder, did he decide on this himself, or was the studio making him do this? As was announced last week that Paddington and Wonka director Paul King will now be directing and producing the film based on the Labubu doll trinkets. Now, in all sense, I do like King as a director, as he helped to make 2 of the most heartwarming and wonderful films of the Lovable Bear from Peru, and was also involved with the story development of in Peru itself, and hopefully the 4th film in particular. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes in 2 years. And the Wonka film turned to be surprisingly entertaining. I need to give my reviews for all of these movies in particular, but this feels like something he would not be involved with. Now, I'm sure the case that maybe he may make it work on the format they go with him on this one, but I feel by the time the film is released, they will already be out of popularity. Even some of the people that have an obsession with these trinkets or even question why there's a film being made on these. But I guess we'll see with format, perspective, and when this will release at some point in the future. If I hear any updates, I'll provide them, of course, in a later episode. As for the other new addition to a project that we have involved for this week, we are jumping from a film based on one of the year's popular trinkets to a TV series adaptation of a popular video game franchise, as we have some news in relation to the upcoming series based on Assassin's Creed with Netflix. As announced this week that the creative director of Johan Rennick has joined the project and will in most cases be a director or producer on said project. Now, you may not know the name as much, but the man is an acclaimed director, as he's known for his work on some acclaimed series, including the limited series of Chernobyl, Bloodlines, Vikings, The Walking Dead, and the big one, Breaking Bad. So there is some hope and talent as having some appeal from the fans of these series to take him at face value in the work. How much of a presence he will have with this series and will sponsor a couple of seasons to stick around is currently unknown, but I see him having some well done character focus aspects of the series, but I guess we'll kind of see in due time the aspect. There currently still no release window for this project, but it seems to be shooting in the early part of next year, but I'm sure we'll get an idea in due time. But if anything does come about this, I'll provide that, of course, in a later episode as well. And then the last of the stories is more on some news and surprise information about a project in focus, and it comes in relation to the realm of video games itself, and in particular some award wins, and that is with the big success win of this year of Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and has to do with some elements that has been affected or been revealed about the game that has had some unforeseeable consequences on the outcome. So last weekend, the Indie Game Awards took place, and it was the focus that this title won for Game of the Year and for debut indie at that award show, and it was all well and good for its continuing sweep of the awards season. However, this outcome was short-lived, as on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, it was announced that the 2 awards for this game has been revoked from the title and was disavowed from the award show. Now, the reason for this sudden change has come down to the reveal that the game actually had used generative AI for some elements of the background or visual display in the title, when the majority of the time that was all done without the use of the controversial program. but it seems they had used it and not addressed it where the AI assets were used and in the game at launch and were then taken out within the first week of release by a patch update. Now, the Indie Game Awards have been very vocal about the use of generative AI. They're against it kind of thing, and this basically fucked them over. Now, like this lie does make a sense, a bit of a mixed opinion as well. Yes, I am one that's against the overuse of AI in content. I don't think it's a major amount used. I think it was only for like one asset, but like some small newspaper poster or something. But even still, not being transparent is a question that needs to be answered. Now, this saw the games of Blueprints winning Game of the Year instead, and then Sorry We're Closed now taking the debut title. So it's kind of a bit of a mixed appeal of like some other titles winning the awards here. What I see may come from this is a sudden change in outcome as to what is justified in the appeal that if the games are lying about their program or their assets, that it should be looked at with all forms of scrutiny if they could pass in general, or if the acclaim of the awards should be revoked. But I guess we'll kind of see going into the new year what may come to this entertainment media in particular. But with all that regards, I want to know what you think of these stories. Do you see any of those release dates from Disney as solid placements, or will any of them move around? Is the delay for the new Bond game reasonable? Do you hope the new Avatar film gets a cinema release instead of just onto streaming? Will the Labubu movie work from under King, or should be back making more Paddington and Wonka films? Do you see the solid choice to work in Assassin's Creed title for the director? And do you see those revoked awards justified and a bit excessive? And would you feel the Game Awards may do the same for theirs? Let me know what you think of these down below in the comments. And with all that regards, that's all the news that we do have for this week. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go cry. And now, okay, so with all of that ends episode 136 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and the last of the Weird Minds for this year. So thank you for joining me on this journey for this year. Now, let's delve into updates before I get into the whole soppy stuff. So the focus case, we're going to start with reviews. I am going to get to doing more reviews into the new year. I apologize, it's mostly just been Weird Mind stuff and a few odd long form and gameplay stuff. It's just been all over the place kind of thing in this regards, but I will be doing more of them. I'm going to get to the Last of Us review. I will do the Avatar review at some point. I'll do some other gameplays and bits and pieces and things like that, so I will get to those. So look forward to those aspects of things. Another long form stuff, the snack size boxes one's going to come, all different variations and genres, some shows, movies, maybe some games and stuff like that, but I will get to those. Maybe some book reviews, but we'll see what those ones. Gameplay wise, I'm going to get back to doing some more gameplays and stuff like that. I'm kind of considering maybe play Kirby. I've playing through that myself off camera kind of thing. I might see if there's appeal to that, or I might just stream it kind of thing. Which in the case is I might start streaming into the new year. I'll see how the case. I'll talk about it more in a minute. But in case more DK Bananas is coming, more Mario Wonders coming, Cyberpunk, Star Wars, all these other games, and a few other ones I got for Christmas, like No Nightmares and Assassin's Creed Shadows and Autumn Fall and stuff like that. I'm gonna get a few of them. So look forward to those games in the future. In the case of long form stuff, if you haven't seen already, my long form time lapse of Optimus Prime is available to watch online now. I'm gonna get 3 watchathons in 2026 and get to the AI Audience Choice video that I promised someone still, and I get to the Harmos boards and everything like that. So you look forward to those. I'm gonna get to those eventually. That's really all that's probably coming on. Maybe I get 1 or 2 maybe the end of this year or into the beginning of next year, so look forward to those. But in the case, I do want to thank you for joining me for this year. This year has been, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it's been rough for me. Like, there's a lot of stuff, like from personal things, mental stuff, and just other things I don't really want to delve into, as you know, it's things I want to keep to myself for the time being. But in all seriousness, I want to thank you for sticking with me on this journey. Like, the last 2.5 years has been quite something. Just like writing these blog pieces or doing the videos have helped mentally when I have been like spiraling heavily over the last little while. And you know, it's been helpful in the fact that people listen to my work and have been supported in many forms. And from these videos and these blogs, I just want to thank you for, because I really do. I apologize in the case of a lot of this has just been like mainly the weekly series. It's just the case like some bits I do want to like work on reviews and stuff and other ideas and like other plans and stuff, but just like there's a mental wall kind of hits sometimes. And just kind of cases sometimes like the helpful support and like I'm just sort of just trying to deal with things can variation stuff, and I will get back to them. I do promise them I will get development and need to finish. So thank you for bearing with me with all this, just trying some new series and stuff and more content and start streaming and other things. But I do appreciate stuff, and you know, I hope you all be there to support me as I head in, as I'm needing now more than ever. And some people that maybe were there when they started will come back in some regards, but you know, we'll see how things go. But in all that, I do want to thank you for helping through this year, and I hope you all have very happy holidays, and I wish you all a very happy new year as well. And I hope to see all of you into 2026. And in case if you like my content, and want to see more from me and more from this, like and subscribe. Like, I appreciate you all for getting me to 500 subs. I really do. And maybe my goal for next year is to get to 1,000, but we can see how that goes. I'm not gonna push it straight away yet, but we'll see how this goes. But I appreciate all that have been around for supporting me, from like newcomers, long-time people, and people that may come and go but are always welcome back. But let me know your thoughts and everything that's discussed this week as well, from anything that your favorite stuff from this year, your least favorite things, all the stuff from this week, from like the news, releases, trailers, and everything. Just let me know your thoughts and everything discussed down below. I'm gonna leave there for now. And also, in case if you want to get some pure crack as well, it is 10% off with my code down below in the description. But I should leave there for now. So as always, you all stay being wonderful people. Have a great day every day. Do many great things, and keep being you because no one else can do what you do. And take care of yourself mentally and check in on your loved ones. Thank you all for watching. I've been your host Sam as always, and I shall see you all in the new year. So take care, and I'll see you later.